Hey guys, it's Abby and today's video is a Japanese study routine. But as you guys know, I was able to go to Japan this year and I did so many amazing things. I noticed that the limited Japanese that I know honestly really helped me have an even better experience in Japan. I was able to better communicate with people around me. I was able to easily ask questions. So today's video I'll be showing you guys some tips for beginners at Japanese, how to tackle each aspect of studying Japanese, such as the writing system, grammar, and vocabulary, things like that, as well as give you guys some recommendations. If you are a beginner at Japanese, then definitely check out this video. It's going to be very helpful for you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight to the video.
I cannot tell you enough how important learning Hiragana and Katakana is when you're studying Japanese, especially when you're traveling to Japan. In my recent travels to Japan, being able to read Japanese honestly really allowed me to have a much better time, especially when it came to ordering my food. A simple phrase such as "ore onegai shimasu" helped. But reading the items on the menu made it so much easier. For example, I went to a restaurant in Kyoto and the waitress didn't speak any English. I noticed she was a bit scared and nervous and she couldn't communicate very well with us. She actually did have another waitress next to her who was sort of trying to help her out, but it seems like they were both struggling. So when I ordered my limited Japanese, I ended up saying something like "orange juice onegai shimasu," which pretty much means like orange juice please. I could honestly see the relief in her face that I could kind of speak a little bit of Japanese. I could tell she really appreciated that I was trying to speak Japanese to her. Most menu items will be in Hiragana and Katakana, so if you can read it, it'll be a lot easier for you to get around and order in Japan. Japanese people will really appreciate it and you'll have a much better experience, trust me. Many signs such as store signs or signs in trains are in Hiragana and Katakana. But I particularly noticed that in the trains, you will see, even if it does have kanji at the top, it'll show the Hiragana or Katakana. Typically it's Hiragana, so you can easily read it and understand. Now another example is I was in Akihabara and was looking for Don Quixote, a very popular shop in Japan. If you guys are interested in Japanese culture, you guys have probably already heard of Don Quixote. Now I immediately saw the large yellow sign that said Don Quixote and found it right away. I told my parents it was right there, but they had no idea what I was talking about. I was honestly surprised since the sign said Don Quixote in like super mega ultra large letters. I pointed at the yellow sign and then said it's right there, but they still had no idea what I was talking about. It was then that I realized that what I was reading was in katakana, not Roman letters. Since I could easily read katakana, it was very clear to me, but not to my parents who couldn't read any Japanese. You might want to skip this step and go straight to learning phrases in Japanese, but trust me, learning hiragana and katakana is extremely important and will really help you when you're in Japan. A lot more than you think. So as you guys can see here, whenever I practice hiragana and katakana, even though I already know them quite well, sometimes I can recognize the characters and I can read them a lot better than I can write them. So I do always make sure to practice them even though I know them pretty well. I'll get a notebook and on one side I will just write them down. I'll typically look at a hiragana chart, and then on the right side I will pretty much just do a test to test my ability to see if I remember the characters. Like I said, I can recognize them a lot better than I can write them at the top of my head. So I do make sure to practice over and over again since I think it's a crucial part of learning Japanese, as I mentioned earlier. And then I do the exact same thing when I'm learning katakana. The left side I will do the practice, and then on the right side I will do the test to try to test my abilities. Since I know them quite well, I just do one for hiragana and then test myself for katakana, and then I'm pretty much good to go. Now let's talk about vocabulary. The Japanese language and all languages are made up of vocabulary, so the more words you know, the easier learning Japanese will be. As many of you know, I got to study at a Japanese university back in 2019. I studied Japanese with many other students and we went through lessons relatively fast. I made the mistake of not memorizing all my vocabulary from the start. So when I started learning grammar and putting vocabulary words together to make a sentence, I couldn't figure out what it meant at all. The grammar rules made no sense. I couldn't even focus on them since I had no idea what the words I was writing were. I watch anime and Japanese TV shows. Now since focusing on learning as much vocabulary as I can, I catch the words in the show I watch. This honestly makes it easier for me to understand what's going on and what they're saying. So even if I don't know how to form a sentence, I can infer and make a general understanding of what they're saying. For example, when you watch an anime where the students are in high school, you're going to be hearing a lot of "ohayo gozaimasu" or "ohayo," which means good morning. Now, when you're learning vocabulary, that might be one of the first words you're going to learn. And so it's really amazing when you catch these words when you're watching anime or Japanese TV shows, because it means that you're actually understanding what you're learning. I do think that understanding a language is the first step to being able to actually speak a language. So I noticed that always comes first before you can actually communicate. And I think it's amazing because you just get a better understanding of the language and just makes it a lot easier, I think, to actually speak the language. Being able to understand a lot of vocabulary words in Japanese makes it easier for me to understand what's going on and what someone is saying in a Japanese show or even anime. But even if I don't know exactly how to form a sentence, I can infer and have a general understanding of what they're saying in the show show, and as a result, understand a scene a lot better without necessarily needing subtitles. As you guys can see here, I like to use small little note cards and write down the vocabulary words that I want to learn. And then on the other side, I'll write them down in Japanese. So in hiragana in this case. I like to use some markers. The blue one is always going to be the English for me, and then the pink one will be the Japanese words for me. As you guys can see, since I already know hiragana and katakana, I like to write the word in the hiragana or katakana depending on what the word is. See if I can both recognize the characters and also be able to pronounce the word and memorize the word. So after I've made my note cards for the day, I like to actually, try to see if I can get the word out of the top of my head, if it's there. So here you guys are about to hear me pronounce the words as I practice the vocabulary.
ごめんなさい。どういたしまして。よろしくね。こちらこそよろしく。ありがとうございます。おはよう。おはようございます。
If you are someone who just wants to go straight to just understanding Japanese and wanting to speak Japanese and really focus on vocabulary, like I said, all languages are composed of vocabulary, so if you understand all the words that they're saying, even if you can't form the proper sentence, as long as you understand, you're good to go. Let's talk about grammar. Grammar has honestly been the most difficult part of learning Japanese for me as of lately, but this is where textbooks come in handy. Lately, I've been using my old Japanese textbook from when I studied at Japanese University. This is the Elementary Japanese for Academic Purposes Tomodachi Volume 1. I purchased this at the school shop they had, so I'm not sure if you can order this online. You probably can, but that's where I got it. Now, what I like to do is write down grammar rules and practice examples. So I'll read over the examples and then make my own sentences following this grammar rule or prompt. So here you guys can see this is a prompt on how to introduce yourself in Japanese. So for example, I like to write down the prompt and label each name under, person A, B, and C. In a small notebook, I like to assign names to these characters. So A is me, Abby, and then we have person B as Fumiko, and finally C as Hana. These are just names I came up with, and then I assign them to the places here on the prompt, as well as assigning them like their countries that I want, as well as assigning countries, and overall just filling in the blanks. And then I proceed to reenact the scene. Now this allows me to actively practice and speak Japanese. I love these prompts because I know what I'm saying does make sense in Japanese, even if it's not what a native would speak or maybe a local would say. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. Sometimes textbooks don't necessarily show you what a local would speak, but you know for sure it's going to make sense and that it is accurate. So I do love reading these prompts and, like I said, and actively practicing Japanese. Now let's talk about kanji. Now I know it can be very scary for many beginners. This is one of the scariest parts of learning Japanese for me. When I first started off, I wanted to avoid it at all costs. Now after I studied in Japan, I learned a method that honestly really helped me. And so the way they taught us is that on the screen she would show up a kanji character and it was in a big bold letter. They gave us large pieces of paper and then we just had to go ahead and write the kanji character. We wrote it as many times as we needed to actually memorize it, and for some reason writing it in a large piece of paper made it a lot clearer and easier to remember. I have no idea why this is, maybe because a lot of kanji characters, some of them to be very intricate designs to them. So by writing it a lot bigger, you can visually have a better idea of what it looks like than if you're writing it on a typical notebook over and over again in smaller letters. This is just a tip that worked really well for me. Now as for apps, lately I've been using Lingo Deer. I don't really know of many apps. I did also use Duolingo at some point. I don't necessarily think that these apps are going to help you learn Japanese. I do think that getting a textbook and really tackling different aspects of Japanese will help out a lot better and really help you learn the language. But I do think that apps can definitely help and be like an extra thing you can do. Of course, if you are starting off and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with studying Japanese, I do think that apps are the best way to go, since apps tend to be a lot more fun and interactive. There's lots of visuals, and I think it's a great first step to learn the language. The Lingo Deer app is one that I've been using lately since I heard really good reviews about it, so I wanted to give it a shot, and I honestly really like it. I think I actually like it better than Duolingo, although Duolingo is, I think, a lot better for beginners. But if you are someone who already kind of knows a little bit of Japanese, I do think that Lingo Deer would help out. Also great if you want to learn vocabulary. I've started learning a lot more vocabulary on there, which I really like. So I've been learning the nationalities, which I already know, but I like to kind of reaffirm what I've already learned, and I think that's what these apps are great for, specifically Lingo Deer. but you do want to learn like the writing system, like practice Hiragana Katakana, I really do think that Duolingo would help out. Don't forget to check out my little questionnaire. It's in the description box of my YouTube videos. I'd really appreciate if you guys can fill this out. I'm pretty much asking you guys questions on what types of videos you prefer to see on my channel, or a specific video you want to see, or just something that you guys have always wanted to tell me. I'd really appreciate if you guys could go ahead and fill that out. It would mean so much to me, and I really want to make content that you guys will enjoy, so I'd love to hear you guys' feedback.
I hope these tips were helpful to you guys and you guys get to see just how important different aspects of learning Japanese can be. Of course, you guys don't have to follow the exact routine that I do. Do whatever works best for you. I know that sometimes I do get overwhelmed, especially when I first started off, so do not worry. But these are just some tips and a guide of what you can do. I know I do have other Japanese study videos, so you guys can go ahead and click on the link somewhere up here, or I'll probably leave it at the end of this video for you guys. If you guys want to see more Japanese study related videos. Now, as I told you guys earlier, I did actually go to Japan. I did so many things. I went to Kyoto and Osaka, and of course Tokyo. So at the end of this video, you guys can go ahead and see that playlist. Do be on the lookout for more Japan vlogs. Like I said, did so many things, and it's been taking me a while to edit the videos because I'm such a perfectionist and I want these videos to be good for you guys. So please make sure to check them out. I did post one recently. You guys can check out somewhere up here. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Follow me at @official_Abby on Instagram for some cute fashion inspiration. Subscribe to my channel to become part of the kawaii family. I'm working really hard to reach 4K subscribers by the end of this year, so you guys can go ahead and make that dream possible. That would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. 見てくれてありがとうございます。バイバイ。